Hi, everybody. My name is Benoit Glazer. I'm a musician by trade with some engineering tendencies. Anyways, I decided to convert an electric van into a camper because we travel from Orlando, Florida, where I live, up to my mother and my mother in law's up in northern Quebec and every year. And so we decided we wanted to do that in an RV. So that's what I did. I chose my vehicle, which I chose the Zevo 600 Bright Drop from Chevy. And the reason is that the price was just better. It's also a slightly bigger than, for example, the e-Sprinter. And basically, it cost me 57,000 plus tax and $26,600 to do the conversion. And what I end up with is up to 1600 watts of solar generation with 15 kilowatt hour of battery capacity in a 24 volt configuration. And we have a full size fridge, full size sink. We also have two inverters. So I'm doing 2000 watt inverter on the passenger side for the cooktop and the stove, as well as 2000 watt inverter for the passenger side for the one outlet or a couple outlets and the water heater. And so I'll go through a little bit, not necessarily in detail how I built everything. I will go through a little bit as quickly as I can to show you what I did, how I did it, how I designed it, and everything. And hopefully, it'll give you some ideas, maybe of what not to do if that's not what you want. We've used the van several times now, like 5 days at a time, and so far so good. We've never ran out of water, never run out of electricity. Everything seems to be fine. The range is about 240 miles on the highway. We can get 300 miles easy in the city. So it's working out very well for us. It's not the most comfortable ride, but we will get into all of these details. So here we go. So here you go. The only thing that I'm missing is the final weight with everything in it. So I will get it as soon as it's all completely packed. I will get it weighed and I'll tell you exactly how much my conversion added to the basic weight of the vehicle. And that will be including everything. So here's the Zevo. As you can see, it's a roll-up door. I got rid of that pretty quickly in the build. And the front, I didn't do anything outside really in the front. I may put a bicycle rack. I have to figure out how to do that without changing the clearance because the clearance is what it needs to be right now. So it's the 14-foot long box, basically, by 7 feet and 7 feet high. And so you see some of the designs I came up with. I made about 20 of them. Unfortunately, none of them that I did are here because I ended up like improvising a little bit. But you can see what I was trying to do. Some of them have raisable beds. This is the case on this one here. And this is a front kitchen, a middle bath, and a rear bedroom. I tried different iterations. What I ended up with is basically like a front, let's call it a storage area, then a mid kitchen, rear mid bed, a little bit similar to what you see right now. That's my furring. At the very beginning of the build, we took out the door between the cockpit and the house. And I also took out, as I said, the roll up door. Very heavy, not very practical for what I was trying to do. So here's how I did the wall. It is strong enough, and I saved about 80 pounds, if not more, compared to the roll up door, including the door that ended up in it. I did buy the door because I didn't think that a house door was the best idea for this. So I used an RV door by Lippert and it works very well. We have a screen door as well. The only thing I'm not super happy with is that I can't open that window. If I want a good ventilation, I have to open the entire door and it's not the best when you're taking a shower, stuff like that. So I'm working on that. I haven't found a window that can be opened that fits exactly in my door. So this is the door, the Lippert door in question. I contacted Lippert. They gave me an answer that was vague and confusing and did not bring me to a product that worked. So that's kind of weird. But this door I'm very happy with and it works very well. Then the next step, of course, was to start building out the space inside. So, and before I can do that, I had to prepare the van for the insulation. Now, what happened is that I looked into getting foam insulation and doing it myself, and the materials were about $1,000. And so I said, well, and I was going to be left with some foam because, but you couldn't, I couldn't buy the exact quantity of materials I needed. So I ended up using a company. The company is called Koala. That's their logo here. The guy did a fantastic job. He was quick, he was professional, and he was pretty precise. That's important because otherwise you're going to be spending a week and a half cleaning up the foam that's extra or that's in the wrong place. This is sped up, obviously, and I just kept a couple of little short instances that are not sped up. But as you can see, I prepared the place pretty well, and I only have a few cables that were going to end up behind my finish, and I taped everything together so it would be easy for him to lift up and spray around my cables. And so I'm happy I did that. It turned out to be the right thing to do. This is basically just urethane closed cell insulation, and it worked very well. And in fact, it's nice and cool in the van, and I live in Orlando, and it's June right now. And I just want to mention that I started the build December 2nd, and I ended the build January 30th. And so it took me basically 2 months. And I work on average about 72 hours a week at my job, even though I did have a few days off between Christmas and New Year's. So I don't know exactly how many hours it took me, if that's the question you have. I cannot answer that question exactly. But it took me 2 months in my spare time. So that's the installation finished. I did take 2 days to clean up the installation, of course, in my spare time. As I mentioned, I never could work like 8 hours straight. The result here, you can see it's pretty clean. It's not bad. It's just a furring strip I had to clean a little bit and a few spots that were sticking out, but really not too bad at all. I did buy a tool for that. It's like a 2 foot long blade that goes on a $2,000 tool that I didn't buy. I just put a wood handle on it and I did it by hand. It's not a big area to do, so it was perfectly fine. I was very happy. I also used an old knife that I sharpened on both sides, and that's what I used. Now you can see my cabinets start to take shape. I also bought everything at the same time. So basically, a week into my preparation for the build, I bought everything I needed. The whole electrical system, everything but the tanks. The tanks arrived in mid-January, but I had everything. So I could size everything up very easily. I just brought it in the fridge and I didn't have to like guess the measurements or anything like that. So that's the fan, that's the AC. You can see here some dressers. Above this one on the driver's side is like a closet area, and on the passenger side it's underneath the kitchen counter. We have quite a bit of storage, in fact. The ultimate mission of that build is to be able to eventually live in it full time. It's very possible we're going to do that. You can see the cupboards. I eventually took out those existing lights completely because they were taking a lot of room and were not very useful. But that's what, you can see how it's starting to take shape a little bit now. We're in the front looking back. This is the other way around, back looking front, and that's the passenger side where the kitchen is going to be, and of course half the bed. I opted for a dinette that converts into a bed situation. I know that a lot of you guys, full-timers, don't like that because you have to undo the bed and redo the bed every day. But for us, having enough storage is important. My wife's a pianist. We don't have a piano in there, but we do have a keyboard, and we have I have a way to set it up. There's 2 stations for her. She can stand up or she can sit down on the table. That's the beginnings of the electrical system. The electrical system is on the driver's side. So everything, all my inverters, everything is on the driver's side. And then the plumbing is all on the passenger side where the wheel wells are. And that's where the bed is. So everything's under the seats that convert into a bed. It's worked out very well for us. We're very happy with that setup. It doesn't really impede with our storage too much. I do have to mention that the bed is only 48 inches wide by 78 inches long, so that's a sizable length. but it wasn't enough for the whole electrical system or the plumbing. So basically, the water heater is underneath the sink that you just saw, and the electrical system goes, like my inverters and my 24-volt charger that I'll talk to you about later is underneath that cooktop, that in that space that you see there. And there's also a sizable pots and pans drawer and my recycling and garbage as well, my trash. There's a lot of stuff that's crammed into a little space. The inverters are there. There's enough breathing in there because it's open. And so at the bottom, it's open. And this is the shower surround before I installed it permanently. We wanted a full-size shower, and I'll show you what I did with the shower door. This is the rest of the bathroom before I put the toilet in and the pharmacy with the mirror. That's the basis for where the seat slash bed is. This is the plumbing side without the 3/4 inch plywood piece that goes on top that sits on the frame that has Velcro. It's holes, so you can see now the driver's side has it, the passenger side doesn't. But that makes everything very secure, very solid. And then I have the actual bed slash seats on top of that. So that's a full-size sink. It's actually pretty big. It's really nice. And this is after I finished the wrapping around the mattress. The mattress is in 4 pieces because, of course, we just flip up. If you pull each end up, it just transforms into a seat. I think I have the seat looking up there, right there. So you can see basically how it works. I just pull down. You pull down, it takes 2 seconds. Boom, it falls down. You pull the other side, it's a bed. It takes about 30 seconds to bring back up into a dinette position. Now the table, I store it in what is the shower door slash cupboard that's there. And I have 5 anchor points for legs on the table underneath. And they're like, you just screw them in. But when we are in the van, I only use one. The one in the middle, the rounded part of the table, that's the plumbing. So you can see the pump, the accumulator tank, and the inlet and the ventilation for the tank. I have the gray water tank is underneath. I did not film that, I'm sorry. But it's 29 gallons of fresh water, 29 gallons of gray water. We don't have black water because we use a dry flush toilet. I'm very happy with that system. I just throw the bags in the trash and that's it. This is the water filter, 3-stage water filter. It's a blue brand. The water heater is 6-gallon tank. And then this is when I glued up the shower surround, and so I wanted pressure on every side, so I just put pieces of wood and applied pressure on every side. And it worked very well. I used the 5200 marine adhesive throughout, so everything is glued and screwed that I knew I wasn't going to want to move. Most of my wiring is in the cupboards and totally changeable and removable, whatnot. And that's the plumbing that when it's basically finished. So that's the way the van looks like. You can see the solar panel. The rack I did not make, and I didn't do the installation myself, as I told you before. I hired a couple of guys to weld the aluminum rack because I don't do welding. But I did do all the aerodynamic stuff. And I might do more, but right now I drove the van a certain distance before I put anything on it, and then I drove it after, and it doesn't seem to be any change in the range or the way it responds or anything like that. So I don't know if I'm going to do more, but I might. This is the lighting, how it looks. As you can see, the project is moving forward a little bit. The upper cabinet doors are there now, and the whole kitchen is finished with the countertop and everything is done. And what you see, the black thing you see there right before the sink on the right-hand side is a wringer for clothes, because I decided not to put a washer dryer and to hand wash and dry my stuff, and we'll just hang it up in the shower, but it won't even drip. Those rollers work very well. So that's the table in question that I was telling you about. Behind the table there's storage, and I have our picnic chairs, or camping chairs, I should say, and other stuff back there. And what I used are two bolts on at the upper end, and you can see a little notch there. So you're going to see how I move that cupboard slash shower door. So now I'm in the shower and I'm going to close that thing, and you're going to see that because that baffle is not vertical, it gives me more elbow room. It adds about 8 inches of elbow room in the shower, which is pretty cool. And then at the bottom, it doesn't add anything. So the water that's going to drip on there, it actually, we've used it. It works very well. It just drips down in the base of the shower. And then, yeah, I'm going to show you what the screws do with the table. So I secured them with wing nuts. You just undo the wing nuts. It takes about 10 seconds, 5 seconds per side. And then I pull out that table and I put those bolts in there, in the other hinges. And that side of the table is secured completely. And then before that, I put the lone leg of the table at the center so that we can both get in and out without any problem, and it works very well. And I'm very happy with that system. I might close that top portion of that cupboard up to put, whatever, gloves or whatever. That's the closet. I actually have a spot to hang that little solid card, but it's to hang a little scooter, electric scooters, if we want to go grocery shopping or whatever. We can do that. I will eventually put some bikes in the front of the van, but I may not have time before we leave. We leave in a couple of days. So this is what the thing looks like. It's not clean because we're starting to load up, that's when I made the video. But you can see my recycling and my garbage. They don't move by themselves because it's really pretty tight with the bottom of that drawer. But the air does circulate plenty for the two inverters and my charger, all of which are fanned. So this is my laundry system, and this is what the van looks like. And we're very happy with the result. We've lived in it now for several little trips. The two longest ones were 5 days each, and we never ran out of water. We never ran out of juice, electrical juice, that is. The fan works very well. It closes if it rains. It closes by itself. Now, what I was telling you about the driving experience, this is not a luxury vehicle. This is a delivery van. I'm a musician and I also mix and master music for a living. And so there's no way in hell I'm going to drive long distances in this thing without noise canceling earphones. It's just mandatory. It's allowed. It's even at 50, 55 miles an hour on the highway. It's loud. The wind noise is pretty impressive. Road noise is also pretty good. Even though I'm insulated pretty well, I actually insulated these doors and everything, but it's just not a luxury vehicle. However, the driving position is very comfortable. The seat I made, you can barely see it here, but the seat I made for the passenger, because the jumper seat was just not usable. That seat is a seat from a Jeep. Thanks, Stefan. My brother-in-law gave it to me. But it's very comfortable. The ride is actually very comfortable. It's just the noise level that makes it uncomfortable. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the road.